Hey guys, so today I'm going to be taking down this lovely little cactus diorama terrarium thing that I made for an art project. I'll be taking it down and I will be putting in all these philodendron in here. And my reasoning for doing this is because I don't need a full 5-gallon tank amount of space taking up in my room just for a couple cactuses that I have in here. I can throw them in a pot with one of my other plants and go ahead and move this into there, so then that's one less 5-gallon in my room when I really need 0 because nothing's really going in this tank but the philodendron, but I don't really know what else to do with the philodendron. My other terrariums are full at the moment, so this is the plan for now. And I would like to put Luna, which is my Crested Gecko, in this tank, but she is currently, the only thing I can really get her to eat is crickets. I've tried other types of Crested Gecko food, I've tried dubia roaches. I don't know why she's weird, but she is, and I'm sure she'll get on Crested Gecko diet at some point. She does eat a little bit, but that's for a different video. Anyway, since she is eating crickets, and I'm keeping her on paper towel currently, just to make sure that she doesn't ingest any of the soil or anything, which isn't something that I worry about with my other geckos because I hand feed them and they're all perfectly healthy, and she's obviously not because she's not eating as much as she should be. But anyway, first I'm going to start with removing my clay figures that I made that are in here. And then I'm going to be taking the cactuses and putting them into this bowl thing right here. And you can't really see it right now, but I have some other plants in there, but they'll fit in just fine. And then as well as there are snake plants in here, as you can see. And I think I'll just go ahead and leave those because those can take high humidity like these plants have been living in, which kind of makes me sad to take down this tank because it's been doing so well with this piece of plexiglass on top. As you can see, like, roots are just growing down from absolutely everywhere, which is really cool. But I'm just going to go ahead and move it into that. So first, take this down, take all the slate out, and just work on that. I first took out the clay guys on Saturday, but then I went and volunteered at a shelter, the Wyandotte County Humane Society. And then Sunday morning before church, I worked on it a little bit, and then I went ahead and finished emptying it out off camera. Okay guys, so I'm going to try to finish this stuff tonight, but the plan is now that I'm going to take all of these plants and pretty much the majority of what's in this tank, and I'm going to go ahead and put it in this tank. And then I'm going to take the pothos out of here. So there's a bunch of pothos plants. They're doing really well. And then there's like 2 or 3 philodendron plants, which will fit right in with those. I'm going to go ahead and take those pothos plants and then plant them in this pothos terrarium. Sorry for these terrariums not looking great. The geckos are fine. It's just that they don't look fantastic to us. And then I'm going to go ahead and just fill this with pothos or philodendron, sorry, and then fill this with pothos. And I think that'll be just fine for Leonard in here, and Garfunkel surely won't mind. But then what that will do is then I don't have to have a pot or really anything for the philodendron plants. They'll just go with what already existed. So I'm going to take these 2 tanks. Actually, I'll probably not leave them here. I'm going to go ahead and take the pothos out. Sorry that these tanks are dark. I had to use the light that was on these for this tank because this tank's filled with wonderful, wonderful aquarium plants. Yep, I have aquarium plants now. It's pretty much amazing. So I'm going to go ahead, fill this with pothos, then I'm going to take this down and empty everything out except the bio balls, not the bio balls, the clay balls, sorry. Aquarium, a little bit of aquarium filtration there. And then I'm going to add more substrate so then it doesn't get quite so hot in this, or where he is, which he's right here. And then I'm going to try to add more vertical things. Like even this one has something, and you can really tell that these are arboreal species trapped in little terrestrial containers because every single night that's where Garfunkel sits every single night, right there. He wants to be much, much higher, which I'm going to do a video in the future, probably pretty far off in the future, I don't know, maybe soon, no clue, about like real arboreal setups, because I kind of have like I have like a personal opinion about this type of thing, since working with things like green iguanas and beta dragons and stuff that are terrestrial and things that are arboreal, and how that doesn't really make sense of how we think about it. But anyway, then I go ahead and get to this. Hopefully I can get this done. I did finish taking down the other 5-gallon. That was pretty simple. I just needed to empty it out, and then I put the substrate into that tub with some other substrate that I had. So as I said, I started off by taking everything out of this tank, including the pothos and all the hardscape and pretty much everything that wasn't the soil, including Leonard. I just moved him to Darwin's tank for a second. They were on opposite sides of the enclosure the whole time. They were fine. So I went ahead and moved the pothos over, emptied everything out, and then I went ahead and grabbed the 5-gallon, and then I removed some more dirt because I know I'd be adding more later. And then I went ahead and just hung the plants over the side while I was getting their roots situated, and then I added dirt, figured out the hardscape for it, and then placed them all so then they all got light and then it looked nice and everything. And then I went ahead and sprayed down both enclosures to make sure they were all good and hydrated everything. So I'm really super glad I have 2 less terrariums in my room to have to take care of, but I'm also really glad with how these tanks turned out. It was really fortunate that all those pothos came out in like one little thing, so I could just set it down there and then surround it by dirt, and then I think this tank will end up looking awesome eventually. Sorry for the reflection here, but I'm sure that everything will kind of wind together and look really nice. And then this tank I think also looks very cool, and it gives more of a vertical option to Leonard now, which is very good. And then I went ahead and watered those tanks and cleaned the glass a bit so they look alright. So there's Teddy, and there is Darwin right there. And I think this is pretty great. And then there was like a couple plants that I might have added to Teddy's tank back there and stuff, but this is all philodendron in here. This is all pothos. I think there's like an English ivy or a ivy plant somewhere in the middle there, but it's pretty much all pothos. And then this is a mix of like every single plant, and then this is a mix of quite a lot of them, but it doesn't have any philodendron or Wandering Jew. But I think they look really nice. And just a disclaimer, these are not real proper setups for crested geckos, at least these 2 in the front. The back 2 are better, or much better, but these 2 in the front are just 10 gallons, so maybe if you have a baby then it'd be alright. What would be more preferred is having them up on this is their bottom, and then having some type of system in the front, so then you could do that. But I didn't feel like messing with these tanks and like using silicone and doing all that, so it's just this. And these are temporary because I'm going to be taking 3 of these 4 geckos, and they will be going into this tank once I get it situated for geckos. As you can see, there was dirt in the bottom. If you haven't been following along here, this is my green iguanas cage. There was dirt in the bottom. I took it out because somehow it's leaking down there with the shower walling, and I will eventually fix that and divide it into 3 real large enclosures, and then get bromeliads and like all these plants obviously, and really fill those up, make them look really, really nice for 3 of the crested geckos. And then I'll be doing another build for one of the other crested gecko, and then I have another crested gecko, but I will be rehoming it because I don't need 3 males. I really only need 1 male because I plan on breeding these guys. I have 2 females in the back, Teddy and Garfunkel, or Teddy and Darwin, and then Garfunkel and Leonard, which are both males. And then I have another male as well that I'm just not going to be keeping because I don't really have any attachment to it. And it'll just be easier to have less. So, hope you guys enjoyed. I sure as heck did. This is one of my favorite things to do, is to make enclosures and to set up the things and everything and plant plants and move everything around. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, like it down below. If you have any comments or concerns, put in the comments below. And if you want more content, then subscribe. Have a fantastic day.